So I've talked a lot about raising your awareness, but why? Why do you even want to do this? Why is it necessary to do this? Well, we could look at, as I've said before, why is our society more advanced today than it was 1,000 years ago? Because we have a higher level of awareness. So we can actually formulate a universal law about progress. And it is simply that all progress is based on raising our awareness. So if you were completely content and happy with your life, you wouldn't be watching this. So you want to achieve something you don't have right now. Why don't you have it? Whatever your goal is, why don't you have it? Well, most likely, at least a big factor in why you don't have it is you don't know how to manifest it. You don't know how to get it. If you knew how, you would have done it already. So that means that if you are to achieve what you don't have right now, you need to raise your awareness. You need to learn something you don't know right now. You need to become aware of something you're not aware of. Now, this may sound obvious to a lot of people. Well, of course, if I knew how to be happy, I would be happy. But it's not that simple. One of the things I've talked about in the introductory series is that we have these subconscious structures. I've compared them to programs on a computer. And what most people don't realize is that we actually have a subconscious program that does not want us to raise our awareness, that wants us to stick with what we already know, to cling to what we already know. And if you try to raise your awareness, that subconscious program is going to resist it. It's going to give you a run for your money. It's going to try to sabotage your growth. So what we're talking about here is what we can call the basic human dilemma. It's simply this. If you want to change anything for the better in your life, you have to raise your awareness. But in order to raise your awareness, you have to overcome the subconscious resistance to raising your awareness. You have to be willing to really learn something new. And you have to be willing to resist your subconscious mind. So why is it we have this tendency to cling to what we already know? I mean, just look at history. Many, many times new knowledge has come up. But at first it was looked upon with suspicion. Most people didn't even want to think about it. Many people were afraid to think about it. Oh, it's something new. It could be dangerous. We need to stick to what we already know. I'm not going to give specific examples because there's so many of them. And many of them are emotionally charged, of course. But think about it this way. One of the things that is deficient in our upbringing is that we are not taught about the most basic human need. Now, if you think about human needs and basic human needs, you're going to think, well, we need food, clothing, shelter, security, this or that. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not the most basic human need. Because we human beings are not biological robots. We're not animals. And what does that mean? Well, I earlier had you go through this simple exercise of mentally stepping back, becoming aware. You're sitting here watching the video, you mentally step back outside your body, outside the room, and so forth. This is an ability that animals don't have. It's called self-awareness. We can become aware of ourselves. But this also means that this awareness is taking place in our psychology. And what that really means is we are not biological beings. We are psychological beings. Because the most basic human need is not biological, it's psychological. And here's why. The fact that you can mentally step outside yourself and look at yourself from the outside and look at your situation and see, is there anything I want to change? It also means that you have an ability that, as far as we know, animals don't have. you can look at the past and you can project into the future. So you have the ability to anticipate that something bad could happen to you. And you look at the world, you look at certain insecurities in the world, and you see that throughout the ages, many people have felt very insecure about their future, and it has deeply affected them. So this very ability to anticipate that something could happen in the future points to the most basic human need. And it is the need for a basic sense of what kind of an environment we are in, what we might expect, how we fit into that environment, what we can do and what we can't do in that environment. So what I'm pointing at here is something we could call a worldview. As far as we know, animals don't have a worldview. They're just aware of their immediate situation. A deer is grazing in a meadow. It's just aware of the meadow and the forest beyond it. If it hears a noise, that it might instinctively react by fleeing if it thinks it's a predator. But it's not thinking 2 days ahead. It's not thinking about fall is coming, I better eat some more. It's not able to anticipate what might happen. But we are. And because of this, we can feel very insecure about the future, even though the future isn't there. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? But we can anticipate, and therefore we can become so psychologically disturbed that we can't actually function in our daily lives. So the most basic human need is the need to have some worldview that gives us a sense of security, a sense of where we fit in. And here is the problem with this. I mean, in a certain sense you can say, what is the problem? Well, the problem is, once we have acquired this basic sense of security, we have created a subconscious program based on this worldview. And for that program, anything that goes beyond the worldview, anything new, is a threat. The program is basically a subconscious structure that gives you a sense of security in your daily life. But it's based on looking at the world a certain way. And let's just avoid anything contemporary, but let's just go way back in history. Primitive tribes, hunter-gatherers living out in the forest. They may have a sense that there was some kind of god in a mountain, for example, and if they sacrificed some of the animals they had killed to that god, it would give them good luck in the future. So based on this worldview, they had a sense of security so they could function psychologically in their daily lives. But it also means that once we have accepted this worldview, the subconscious program will cling to it, and it will see anything new as a threat. And what did I say? The basis for all progress is raising awareness. So if you are to change your life, you have to raise your awareness. And this is the basic human dilemma. In order to improve your life, you have to raise your awareness, but the subconscious program that's based on the worldview you already have will resist it. You see the mechanism? You are now, right now, you're living a certain way. Let's say you're not satisfied with your life. You want something more out of it. But the life you have right now, the life experience you have right now is determined by what? Well, in very large part, by this worldview I'm talking about. It is your basic worldview that determines how you look at who you are, what kind of an environment you are in, what kind of society you're in, what you can and can't do there. So your worldview has really programmed you to fit into a certain role, a certain station in your society. And say, this is who you are, this is how you're going to live the rest of your life. You go to work every day, you pay your mortgage, this is who you are. You're a good consumer. So if you are satisfied with that, fine, you wouldn't be watching this. So obviously you're not satisfied with it, but how can you change your life experience? Well, you have to raise your awareness and acquire some knowledge, some understanding that you don't have right now. That means that this new awareness you're going to acquire is beyond your present worldview. But your subconscious program that's based on this worldview is going to resist the new knowledge and say, oh, this is dangerous. This could potentially be dangerous. Disasters could happen. Look at this person, look at that person, look at all these reasons why. So if you monitor yourself a little bit, you can see that there will be this inner voice that's arguing against what I'm saying here. Very subtle arguments that's coming up for why you shouldn't believe what I'm saying, why you shouldn't acquire something new, why you can find some way to change your outer situation by winning the lottery or going to Las Vegas and playing the tables. Some kind of luck, some kind of destiny. All kinds of things that people have come up with. If you look at history, you will see there are two approaches to life. One is, I'm seeking to improve my situation through outer means. It can be work harder, get an education, get lucky at the lottery, or whatever. But outer means are going to do it for me. And if you had believed that this is the way to improve your life, you wouldn't be watching this. So you are open to, at least a part of you is open to the other approach, which is, I change my life by changing myself. And it's really a very sensible approach, because do you have control over the outer circumstances? Only in a limited way. But what do you have control over? Your inner circumstances. You may not have control right now, but that's what you can acquire, and that's what HAP is designed to show you how to do this. So by changing your inner circumstances, your psychology, you can improve your life experience. And that's a guaranteed way, because really there is nothing outer that can prevent you from changing your psychology. But there is something inner that can prevent you, and that's what I said, the subconscious programs that want to resist that you raise your awareness. And this is the essential human dilemma. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to say that you have to, just like that, change the way you look at everything in life. What HAP is outlining is a very gradual path. And millions of people have already followed this path. If they didn't know anything about HAP, but they have followed this path in various ways. And it's just a gradual raising of your awareness where you become more aware of the things that you were not brought up to know about. And as a result of that, you gradually switch your worldview. You're constantly adapting your worldview, expanding it, refining it. It's not that you suddenly have the rug pulled from under you and you are in free fall. It's just that gradually your worldview shifts. But in order to really lock into this process, it is very important for you to realize that there will be this subconscious resistance. And I have seen people, because I've been involved with this personal transformation for 48 years, and I've seen many people who weren't aware of their own subconscious resistance. So they, as the old saying goes, they took one step forward and then they slid 2 steps backwards. Because they took 1 step forward, but then they became scared. Maybe this is too much, maybe this isn't right. All kinds of things came up, and then they closed their minds again. So basically we can say the basis for progress is to open your mind to see something that's a little bit beyond what you see right now. And then to continue to open your mind, to never close your mind. You see, there's a principle we can see. As I said, the basis for progress is expanding awareness. But where does it end? Well, it doesn't end. But there are many people who take the approach that my present worldview is complete. You see, many people in the world, whether they believe in this or they believe in that, they think their present worldview is complete. And they're not willing to open their minds. But then something happens in their life that challenges their worldview. And now they open their mind a little bit, but not very much, because they are still, when they open their minds to something new, they are still looking to find the ultimate worldview that never needs to change. But what HAP is doing, what HAP is based on, is an open-ended approach. It is not the goal of HAP to present you with the ultimate worldview, and if you just accept this, you will be secure, saved, whatever you want to call it. That's not the basis of HAP. The basis of HAP is there's no limit to how far we can go in expanding our worldview and raising our awareness of ourselves, expanding the potential of the mind. HAP doesn't set any limits. It is not meant to present you with a ready-made worldview. Accept this and you'll be happy ever after. That's not the point here. The point is to show you a process for expanding your worldview, raising your awareness, expanding your sense of self, transcending your current sense of self. And it's open-ended. You are deciding how far it's going to go. HAP is not limiting it.